Hey guys, in this video I'm going to be reviewing and giving my full opinions over the Flash Death Revisited graphic novel, aka the Death Storm graphic novel, which took place from 809 to 814. This is going to be my full review of it. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button down below, subscribe for new, notifications on. Let's get right into the review. So, now, to be clear, I know 814 was technically an interlude episode, but at the same time it really wasn't. As Eric Wallace put it, this is like an ending to the ending of the graphic novel. 813 was the finale of the graphic novel, but 814 is basically continuing in a way that finale, and it had a big part to the rest of the graphic novel, especially the finale. So that's why I'm including 814 in this review. Now, again, I'm not going to review every single episode. This will just be my full-on opinions about it. So, yeah. So, I think this graphic novel, Season 8B, which is what we're calling it, or the Death Revisited graphic novel, as Eric Wallace called it, was easily one of the best graphic novels we've had on the show in a long time. Armageddon was great. I wouldn't say this graphic novel was better than Armageddon, but it was definitely close. Death Storm was horrifying, was scary. Every episode was tension-packed, action-packed in a way. And we were still dealing with Iris' time signature at the same time. We knew what was going on with the rest of Team Flash. But at the same time, we're still mainly focusing on Barry and Caitlin and Frost trying to stop Deathstorm, which is basically impossible for the first several episodes. Now, one thing I do want to point out, which was good writing, was that this graphic novel took place over the course of 4 total days. If you heard in the beginning of each episode, I think it started in 8, 10, 11, and 12, and I'm pretty sure 13, or they didn't mention it in 813. Well, no, I think they did. They said 24 hours ago, like prior to the last episode. So this took place roughly around 4 days in total, which is good writing. Now, I've seen a lot of people saying, why are we focusing on Frost and Caitlin and not really Barry as much? And I've seen people saying, you know, Deathstorm wasn't that scary of a villain. Barry should be the one to stop him, even though Frost was, which I know a YouTuber talked about recently, completely hating on the story arc, which made 0 sense, but nonetheless, I'm not gonna give him credit, but, because he doesn't deserve it. First off, I think Deathstorm, as I said earlier, was the scariest one we've had in shows on Zoom. Cicada was scary a little bit here and there, but Deathstorm brought a whole nother level that we really haven't seen since Zoom. And this is disregarding Thawne, because Thawne's always creepy as hell. But Deathstorm was terrifying. I mean, he would just kill people in literally a second by fire, and he just touched them and they're dead. Barry couldn't do anything to him. No one could touch him. Like, he was literally impenetrable. Invincible. I mean, there was no way you could stop this guy, and he really did cause a threat. I mean, Despero did cause a threat, but compared to the last, 4 or 5 years on the show, we haven't actually had a person or a villain that has actually been, a legitimate threat that Barry couldn't stop. This is the one villain that Barry literally could not stop. And it took Frost to kill herself by sacrificing herself to actually end Deathstorm, which I think is perfect writing because it makes perfect sense. Now, how does that make perfect sense? They mention that throughout 809, 810, 811, 812, especially 813, Cold Fusion was a massive part of this graphic novel. Deathstorm being Cold Fusion, Frost can use Cold Fusion, and she turned herself into Hellfrost to stop Deathstorm. So it made perfect sense for Frost to be able to stop Deathstorm, because if in some reality, and how the hell that would even work, if Barry could do what Frost did, he would die, which wouldn't even be possible anyways because he has no cold fusion in him. There was no way that Barry could feed off of the grief of people, become like Hellfrost, and be able to control what Deathstorm can do, and manage to stop Deathstorm. Even if he could, he would die like Frost did. There was no way that Barry could do it, and it wasn't for writing purposes. It was literally perfect writing. Could the fight scene have been longer, the final fight scene? Yes. But people really hating on this graphic novel for Barry not stopping Deathstorm in the final fight, that is ridiculous. And I'm sorry, but those opinions are just stupid. Like, legitimately, the stupidest opinions I've seen on the show in a long time. And I've seen a lot. Like, I mean, that is depressing. That is so unironically retarded that people are hitting on this graphic novel because Barry wasn't the one to end Deathstorm, when it made perfect sense that he couldn't. If you watch this graphic novel, you know that. As I said, Deathstorm was the one villain that Barry has ever gone up against that nothing could penetrate it. Nothing could hurt it. His own lightning throw didn't affect it. He couldn't touch him. The tornado arms ability that he uses didn't put him out. There was nothing he could do against it. Even Barry said that several times. Team Flash brought it up several times. Deathstorm said that several times. The only way Deathstorm could be stopped was if Frost sacrificed herself to stop it, because it made perfect sense. If you don't get that, go rewatch a graphic novel, because you clearly missed a lot. My point is, this graphic novel, while we didn't see Barry really, like, fighting the big bad because he couldn't, we still saw Barry being Barry Allen. We still saw him being a scientist. We saw him working up theories on how to stop Deathstorm, working with Chester and Caitlin and Frost and Allegra and Cecile on how to stop Deathstorm. And it was literally what we've been wanting. It was what I've been wanting on the show for a while. And when we did have the Flash, like when he was riding the lightning, who came up with that? Barry. For the first time in 8 years on the show, we actually had Barry in action on the field, coming up with an idea on how to potentially save Caitlin when she was being flown away by Deathstorm. He came up with the idea on the spot. Did he have to ask Chester to make sure it worked? Yes. But that is how it should be, and it's how it should have been since season 1. But it was never that way. So, I mean, come on. Like, we literally got the Barry we've been wanting for the past 8 years. The Barry ripped out of the comics in live action right now in season 8. The past 7 years in the show, nothing has really been comic accurate. There may have been a few things here and there, but relating to Barry being the Flash, him quickly thinking of ideas on how to do it, how to, save the day and, stop criminals, he was always relying on Team Flash. He had zero confidence. In season 8, especially we saw in Armageddon, but also this Deathstorm series arc mainly, where we saw Barry actually having confidence in himself, knowing what he's doing is right, and knowing what his true power is, or majority of it. And, I mean, because again, the lightning, right, when he rode the lightning, he didn't know he could do that. He was winging it the entire time, but he wasn't nervous the entire time. When we saw Barry, run up a building or start phasing for the first time, he had zero confidence. When he ran on water, he had zero confidence. This is the first time we've seen Barry do a new ability where he's had confidence in himself, where he knows what he's doing, or at least he thinks he does, to the point where he can do it, instead of having to rely on Team Flash giving a pep talk 24/7, which is another thing this season, especially this graphic novel, did a good job of keeping on the down low, and when there was a pep talk, which was rare, it wasn't that bad. The pep talk with Joe talking to Barry when he brought up Zoom, I think Bloodwork and DeVoe, I think at one point, Cicada. and how Barry stopped him by using his true power, which is super speed and being a scientist. That wasn't a bad pep talk, and it wasn't a pep talk that we've had in Season 7, where Barry was in the field and needed a pep talk to stop the big bad. That lasted for 7 years, where Barry needed a pep talk to stop the villain or to go faster. That wasn't that. Barry was beating himself up because of what happened to Iris and what's going on with Deathstorm at the time, and Joe gave a really good pep talk. Like, it's so what? We have a pep talk every now and then. They aren't bad. Like, I get that people are sick of them, but people really need to stop nitpicking this show, and they might actually enjoy it. I saw someone fully hate for a good, 20 or so minutes over, I think, 8/12, which was easily the best episode of this graphic novel, and I literally said in my review, if you didn't like that episode, you need to quit watching this show. Because there was zero reason for you not to like the episode. And I saw a YouTuber completely and fully hating on the episode alongside Twitter, which Twitter is normal. But the point is, if you didn't enjoy this graphic novel, why are you still watching? I'm sorry if you didn't enjoy it. I know it's your opinion, great. But there's no reason for you not to enjoy this graphic novel unless you're not a fan of the show. Like, we finally got a non-speedster villain that Barry couldn't even touch, that he could not stop. Despero was somewhat on the same level, but he could be stopped, obviously. But the thing was, he had super strength and all that, and also he could read Barry's mind, so, But Cicada, Cicada was a little bit complicated, but DeVoe, he could have been stopped in a millisecond if they had Season 8 writing. Can you imagine if they brought DeVoe back? I mean, good lord, he would have been stopped in literally a millisecond. They could have done it in Season 4, but it didn't happen because we needed the writing to go on. Season 6 with Bloodwork, which wasn't that bad, but do you remember Bloodwork got stopped, at least fully, within the span of 2 to 3 episodes. It wasn't a whole 23 episode story arc. Ava, she could have been stopped a lot sooner. Let's be real, she could have. But I don't know if it was writing purposes or COVID that screwed it up. But nonetheless, Ava could have been stopped a lot sooner. The Forces, you can kind of argue they could have been stopped sooner, but at the same time, the same length was alright. Godspeed made somewhat sense because they are faster than Barry, or they were at one point. So, those are easily debatable. I wouldn't say they were easily stopped, but, or they could have been at least. But this is the first legit non-speedster villain that actually made sense for Barry not to be able to stop it under a millisecond. When he has his power, and he can't do anything to the big bad, which is Deathstorm at this point, what do you expect him to do? He tried everything that he could do. He tried throwing lightning. He can't touch the thing. He tried putting the fire out. It wouldn't work. And so it made no sense for Barry to be able to stop the big bad. And for people really hating on this graphic novel, it's like, did you even watch it? Which is what I ask myself every episode this season, because there's always someone hating on this season, which makes no sense, because it's like, if you watch the episode, you wouldn't hate on it. Now, look, there's only one bad thing about this graphic novel, which was the seal. And the Chester and Allegra stuff, I didn't mind, but I also didn't really care for. But it wasn't bad. There was actually good stuff relating to Chester and Allegra, or Chegra. There was good stuff relating to that. But I'm sure we can all agree the only bad thing with this graphic novel, at least those who actually, like the show and like the season and this graphic novel and aren't nitpicking every little thing, I'm sure we can all agree that Cecile was the one bad thing of this graphic novel, let alone the season, to be honest. Where she says, oh, I can feel that emotion pouring off of you. And then she just goes into a panicking mode or whatever. I mean, that's literally what she did the entire graphic novel. And, it's turned into a meme at this point. I can feel the emotion pouring off of you. But look, the point is that this graphic novel wasn't bad. Was it great? You could argue that. But if anything, I would hope you could all say this graphic novel was good and a massive step up from season 4, 5, 6, and definitely 7. I wouldn't say Armageddon levels, but it was definitely a close second. That is what I'm thinking, and that's my opinions of it. And that's how I'm viewing it. I'm not going to rank this arc of season 8 until the season 8's done, because I have a good feeling about season 8 Seee, and I don't want to keep repeating my rankings. In which case, I will do a full video discussing where I rank not only the 3 story arcs in season 8, Armageddon, the Death Revisited, and whatever the last graphic novel is called, but also the 2 graphic novels in season 7, season 6, and all of season 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. I'll rank all of them in a new video when season 8 is completely done. It'll probably be like the week after I'll do it. I'm waiting till season 8 Seee is done, which is what we're calling it, season 8 Seee. Like season 7A was the Forces, 7B was a Godspeed arc, 6A was Bloodworks, 6B was Ava, and 8A was Armageddon, 8B was Death Revisited, 8C we'll find out soon. So, yeah. Let me know in the comments down below your opinions of this graphic novel. I really loved it. So, yeah. Let me know in the comments your opinions down below. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Have a good night. Stay safe. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye, guys.